Are those darn squirrels or maybe puppies stealing your strawberries? Do you just watch them getting redder and then suddenly, poof, they're gone? Today I'm going to show you how to make a hanging strawberry garden in just a few hours so you can defeat the squirrels and that rodent vermin stealing your sweet, sweet treats. I'm Gardener Koo with my puppy Nacholito hanging around somewhere, and let's get strawberrying. The first thing you need, of course, is the pots. I got these off of Amazon, and there's a link in the description. They're quite affordable, and with a little DIY, you can turn them into something truly unique. They come in 4 colors: beige, red, teal, and gray. And while you're shopping for the pot, you also want to pick out some rope, something inorganic. You don't want it to decompose in the soil that's holding up your pots.
Okay, so this is going to be the base for our hanging strawberry garden. You can see it's just plastic, and it's going to need to support all of the weight right here in the center. So we're going to need to give it a little bit of help. We're also going to drill holes in the bottom here, so we're going to have it mounted like this, and water will pool here. We don't want that. So we're going to drill holes there and there. To give it the help it needs, we're going to use this steel plate. And we're just going to find the center of it and then drill a hole through it big enough for this to go through. I'll show you when we get there. I'm going to use cutting fluid when I do the drilling so that the drill bit doesn't overheat. This is an M42 drill bit, which can handle drilling through metal, but we'll give it all the help that it can get. Finally, once we have a hole, we're going to paint it to prevent corrosion. Any old paint will do. You're not going to see this because it's going to be hidden inside like this. And I will show you the mounting process when we get there. Okay, so now for the painting, we need to shake up our pan. We have some special tools for this, so I'm going to get that going. So get this tightened up here. Put the drill on slow, and all right, that should do it. Much easier than shaking. And I'm just going to make a couple of quick passes over this. No big deal. And we're going to let that dry for a few minutes, flip it over, and do the other side. Okay, so now that our paint is dry, we can start putting this together. So I'm just going to thread this eyelet through here, and then through the base. That's loud. And then on the underside, we're going to put our washer on and thread this nut on, give it a little bit of slack, and now we can hold it. And then once the hanging strawberry garden is ready to go, we will tie it off here, and the rope will support all of the weight right there.
So, after the plate is attached, attach it to the bottom tray, then tie a rope to it, and then weave it up through the first pot level. Then fill with soil, plant with strawberries, and repeat 3 more times. So while I'm planting these, why don't I talk about everything strawberry? First is, when do you buy them? You want to buy strawberries in the winter time when they're sold bare root. They're so much cheaper at this time of year, and you can usually buy them in bundles of 25 for 20 bucks or so. For the types of strawberries, there are 2 main categories. There's June bearing and ever bearing. June bearing is if you want one large crop all at the same time. This would be for people who do jams and pies. If you're not doing that, you should avoid this group. The other group is ever bearing, the one I'm planting today. They set fruit for 6 months, giving you strawberries for so much longer. The variety I'm planting specifically today is called Seascape. Supposedly it has fruits that are smaller, but I've picked some that are the size of an apple. They are sweet with a hint of tartness and are truly my favorite strawberry in the world. Poor Clicky didn't even know we were growing them for the first couple of years because none of them ever made it in the house. After that, I decided to grow a lot more plants so he could at least get one every now and then. My first attempt at a strawberry garden was a failure. I planted them in French drainage tubing, but I just couldn't get the watering right. I had inserted irrigation tubing inside the French drain, but the water just never really hydrated the soil correctly. Strawberries like to be watered regularly, 2 or 3 times a week, depending on your climate. So irrigation is really a good idea. This type of strawberry garden setup is best in USDA Zone 7 and up, but you can also get away with it in colder zones as long as you protect the garden from freezing with burlap or bringing it into the garage. One thing that is non-negotiable for strawberries is they want rich, well-draining soil. I like to use Miracle-Gro Yellow. The only maintenance for these strawberry gardens is to top dress with compost yearly to renew the nutrition for the plants. In my beds, I used organic vegetable mix from the local soil farm that they seem to really just love. So please hit like and subscribe and let me know if you have any creative ideas for hanging plants or for vegetable gardening. For sun or exposure, this is where I'm going to break with orthodoxy. Every company in catalog and book will tell you that strawberries need full sun. They absolutely do not. That's only if you want to maximize your harvest to the extreme, whereas I'm just trying to protect my harvest from the birds and the rodents. This way I actually get a lot more strawberries. So I plant my strawberries on the edge of my garden's beds so they're shaded by other vegetables that I'm growing inside the beds. They still get about half a day's sun, but the vegetables that are shading them are keeping them from being noticed by all those varmints. It also allows me to, drape the fruits outside the beds so they're not sitting on the soil and rotting before I can harvest them. I also use this trick for my Korean melons, but I put them at the front of the bed because they need a lot more sun. So one reason suspended garden is so great is that I can defeat the squirrels because they won't have a way up, and the birds won't come here because it's so close to the house and an active door. If for some reason you're still having pest problems, you could always wrap the garden in bird netting, ensuring a Fort Knox level of security for your garnet beauties. So I'm going to add irrigation and thread it up through the center. Irrigation is a whole thing that I'll get into in a later video. It is such a giant pain initially to set up, but truly it is worth it. You only have to irrigate the top 2 levels, no matter how many levels you do, because of how these pots are designed. They're meant to drain into the level 2 below, irrigating that one, and then draining into the next, and so on and so forth. My Murderbot garden has 10 levels of pots and I still only had to irrigate the top 2. Now, check out my video on Murderbot. The gardens are amazing and they're growing in so beautifully. Now onto hanging. Insert a eyelet into the roof and make sure it's somewhere that it can support weight. It is very important. These pots are going to weigh between 50 and 70 pounds. Then lift the pots to their final height by the rope and rest them on the top of the ladder or something at that height. Honestly, we only did 4 levels, so we just had Clicky hold it. Then you're gonna tie it off to the roof with a bowline knot and look up the knot. I'm not a knot expert here, and bam, hanging strawberry garden. I, of course, ran irrigation to the main line, and all that unglamorous stuff. Now, if you're really having squirrel problems and they're just jumping up this high, you could put a pulley at the top and run the rope line back down to the ground and tie it off somewhere. That way you could lower and raise it at will, keeping your precious ruby red jewels away from those little demons. Not sure how irrigation would work, but if you figure it out, let me know in the comments. Okay, so I waited a month to let my strawberry garden grow in so I could show you what it's really going to look like, but it has been the coldest summer ever. I think this is the coldest summer since before I was alive. So everything is just growing so slowly. But either way, this is a great addition to your garden, to your patio, or to a porch. It really makes a statement and no one else is going to have it. I'm Gardener Koo, here with Nacho and Freya, and go get your hands dirty.